and welcome to the show. I'm Peter Whittle. Now, to put it bluntly, my guest this week lost his job simply because of his political beliefs. I'm joined by him now. His name is Dan Cooper. Dan, thank you very much for coming on the show. I summed it up there. These things are never quite as straightforward as they seem.
No, of course.
But at the same time, this does seem to be, your case, pretty cut and dried. Can you explain actually what has happened to you, in terms of actually you losing your job, what that job was?
Sure, of course. So for around about 30 years now, I've worked within HR. And in the last sort of couple of decades, been quite a senior role in HR, working as a sort of business partner for a big law firm, one of the largest in the world.
And that is
CMS. And part and parcel of my role was looking after all of the Central and Eastern European offices. And as you can imagine, when you're working in HR and you have certain global policies, they don't always marry up in various different countries, for various different reasons. Now, for many years, I've voted Conservative until last year when, having the 14 years that we did with the Conservatives, I decided to vote Reform. Now, I live in Lincolnshire, and my MP is Richard Tice. And speaking to him, a couple of times, I was then given the opportunity potentially to run as a councillor in the May elections for Reform.
All right.
And on my ex account, I eventually decided to let everybody know that I would be a councillor. And the Reform Party UK Exposed group then took that information and found a way of marrying that with my other LinkedIn account, and then got in touch with CMS to let them know that some of the tweets that I had put out in the past might be against the kind of policies that the firm held dear to themselves. And they were particularly around my gender critical beliefs. I firmly believe that there are only two genders. And also the fact that I certainly have an issue with Islam as an ideology. At no stage have I ever demonstrated within my career that I'm discriminating against anybody. I've always been held in high regard within my role. And in fact, 2 weeks before losing my role, I was asked to take over another part of the business because I was the only one that had the kind of skills, knowledge and experience to be able to deal with the kind of volume of issues that might create within that. So on the 3rd of March, a day that I won't forget now, I just finished a meeting with the head of Central and Eastern Europe and a couple of colleagues. We were what were known as a core team, the strategic core team, looking at the performance of that part of the business and its contribution to the firm as a whole. And we were about to go into a very large meeting with various other senior business partners, including sort of the senior partner, the managing partner, and also the head of finance. And I'd received a call during the initial call that I was having, but obviously couldn't answer it, and then got a couple of emails bouncing to me quite quickly saying, I need to speak to you. My direct line manager wanted to speak to me quite urgently.
Right.
So I finished the call knowing that I had 2 minutes to get to this very big business call that we were having. So I made the quick call and was told there and then on the call that I was being suspended with immediate effect because of the tweets and because of the fact that I would be running for Reform, and that I should have informed the firm and discussed it with the firm before I even made that commitment. I then received a letter on the same day. By the way, I was cut off from all the internet with the firm for immediately.
Straight away.
They cut me off. And this is after sort of 12 and a half years of working and giving my all really to the firm. Very loyal. And then I received an email to my private email address in the afternoon saying that I was suspended. These were the basic reasons why I was being suspended: because of the tweets, because of Reform UK Exposed getting in touch with the firm and letting them know the kind of tweets that there were. I think the firm panicked and put out a statement quite quickly saying that we don't agree with any of this, Mr. Cooper's tweets, and we have taken immediate action.
Yeah.
I was told in the letter that I'd probably be suspended for 2 weeks, but by Friday I was dismissed.
Really, that quick?
That quickly. I was told that I would have a meeting on the Friday. The meeting took place at 10 a.m. and before the close of business, I'd received a letter to say that the decision had been made, that it was gross misconduct, and that I was dismissed.
Were you sort of in shock?
Oh, absolutely, without a doubt. It was, the strangest thing, Peter, is that since it's happened, I've had a couple of partners from the law firm, a couple of colleagues from the law firm that have sort of made contact, but with a caveat that I probably shouldn't be talking to you, but. And it's nice of them to reach out, but what they were reaching out, what to say they're sorry that this thing happened? Yeah, absolutely. These are people that I've known for many, many years, but there's still a fear from them that to align themselves, even though I know that these people have very, very similar views, that to align themselves with it would absolutely ruin their careers, which is what's happened to me.
Hello, please excuse this brief interruption, but I'd be really grateful if you could please hit the subscribe button and subscribe to our channel. Our mission is vitally important and we must grow this channel to ensure that our content reaches the biggest possible audience. The best way to do this is for you to subscribe. It's totally free. And in addition to subscribing, if you're able to donate or join our membership scheme, please click on the link in the description or visit our website, newcultureforum.org.uk. We've got great plans ahead, but we can't do it without your support. From only £4 per month, you'll receive a range of perks and benefits, including exclusive content. Thank you. If we were to just go back to these accounts you talk about.
Yes.
So the LinkedIn one.
Yes.
Which is your business, I guess.
Yes.
And then the other one was an X one.
Yes, it was an X one. But there was no link between
There's no link at all. So what it means is in the X one, you said certain things in your, bio, or what is it?
In the bio, I did say that I was anti-Islam.
Yeah.
And I said that I believed that there were only two genders.
Right.
But with a couple of tweets, one, and I'll give you an example of the tweets that we're talking about. One of the tweets was around, what would you say if somebody called you Islamophobic? And I replied that I wouldn't say anything because I don't believe that it's a word. I think it's a made-up word.
It is.
I don't think Islamophobia is a thing.
Yeah.
And that they took offence to that tweet. The firm took offence to that tweet. The second one was that from a gender critical point of view, I had said that if you're over 18 and believe you're transgender, I believe you have a mental illness.
Yeah.
If you're 8 years old and believe you're transgender, I believe your parents have a mental illness. So they were
pretty mainstream views, basically, both of them.
Yeah, and the law now kind of agrees that there are only two genders. And so that was the crux of it. That was the crux of why they pulled the plug like they did. I mean, it even said in the letter that was sent to me around the decision that we take into account that you have a completely clean record with the firm. And I was always the person that they would go to deal with the difficult situations within the firm. So yeah, it's been a challenge, a real challenge. And I get the feeling that with roles that I'm trying to apply to, that the word is out.
Right. Right. I mean, it's disgusting. There's no question about that. And one should always say not to be naive in thinking your firm is going to. They're always going to scarper, aren't they?
Absolutely.
If there's any sort of sign of danger. this group that you mentioned, Reform Party, Reform UK Exposed.
Yeah, it's Reform Party.
I've not heard of those before your case. So, do we know who's behind them or who they are?
I think that, strangely enough, there's I don't want to definitively say who it is, but there's certainly being funded, I believe, by a left-leaning recruitment outfit.
Right.
But I mean, what effectively happened after they did that was it wasn't just the law firm; it was Reform as well, the Reform Party.
Yeah.
They also panicked and said, "Well, actually, we haven't formally confirmed Dan because we haven't signed him off at the council, even though they'd confirmed that I was running for them and that I'd passed vetting, even to the point that the local secretary of Reform had said to the individual that would be working for the whole of Lincolnshire with regards to who were being candidates, had gone to the direction and said to her, look, you made sure you checked everybody's tweets. This was actually the week before this all happened.
Right.
And Reform were absolutely fine with it.
Yeah.
But then they changed their mind once it hit the press, and it hit the Telegraph, it hit the Times, and it hit the legal press.
Did permanently? Did they change their minds permanently, or what?
Well, my case went to a disciplinary hearing.
Right.
And the disciplinary hearing came back that actually they found in my favour.
Yeah.
Favour, and said, well, look, now that you've been suspended, we'll pull the suspension back. You can still be part of the party, but as we've had to move on, you can't run for 12 months.
Right.
So that meant that somebody else had to take my place. And that individual that took my place, great guy, won with a massive majority.
Oh.
A massive majority.
Yeah.
So not only did I lose my job,
Yes.
I also lost the opportunity to be a councillor for Lincolnshire County Council.
Yes. Well, you're in Lincolnshire, obviously, as you say.
Yes.
There are local elections coming up next year as well, aren't there?
Yeah, but not for us.
Not for you.
No. And the interesting thing is, it's, living in Lincolnshire, part and parcel of me moving there in the first place a few years ago was to get my young daughters away from the south.
Yes.
And
away from the south, politically, as it were?
Yes, absolutely. Very much so.
Yes.
They now go to a lovely little Church of England school. The principles of being British are, at the forefront of everything they do from an educational point of view. They're involved in the farming world, which is dear to my heart as well. So it's a nice place to be, yet we still have our issues, particularly with immigration there.
Dan, a lot of people would find it there is a kind of rich irony in that you were in HR.
Yes.
Because we've covered HR a lot, and it is one of, I think we were saying before we came on air, it's one of the main engines of the whole, what woke, ideology, social engineering, and now the DEI thing. I mean, when you were actually in HR, was it part of your role to impose DEI, throughout the firm?
It had got that way, to be honest, Peter. I mean, when you work as a business partner, from my point
what
of
does
view,
that actually mean?
The idea is I need to understand the way in which the business runs. Now, with law firms, it's all about fee earning.
Right.
It's all about making money. You take an individual as a lawyer, and you want to make as much money out of that individual as possible. And there are certain measurements that you use to do that, whether it be charge out rates and those kind of things. But you learn the business and you work with the business to look at things like, managing change, in the demographic of the workforce, looking at multi-generational working. You've got a lot of partners in law firms that are my age, 50s, 60s, having to deal with, 5 generations all in one organisation. There will be things like coaching that you will have to do. There will also be things like performance management. And strangely enough, one of the things that came out of a survey at CMS was the thing that people thought was the thing that needed addressing more than anything else was poor performance. And yet they struggle to be able to deal with issues around poor performance, and a lot of that is purely because of the ideologies that are placed,
Yes, of course,
around, you know, those that come from particularly minority groups in dealing with those, because they don't want to be seen as, you know, being racist or whatever it is. But you're right, Peter, over the last couple of years, CMS even have diversity targets. So the fact that, you know, they are targeting individuals to move into more senior roles purely based on their ethnicity.
absolutely. This is, you know, I mean, you know, this is a controversial area.
It is.
But basically, companies are gradually, you know, experiencing the downside of that, you know, and going away further and further from what they're meant to be doing, but also actually suffering sometimes, you know, economically as a result. So what is the situation now, right? So basically this happened. This is, you know, it seems to me quite extraordinary. The cut and dried nature of it, the fact that it sort of happened like that, it's left you're going for unfair dismissal.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, absolutely.
At what? At a tribunal?
Yes. Ideally, a tribunal. You know, the idea is that I believe I wasn't dismissed for gross misconduct, as they say, or for discrimination. I didn't discriminate against anybody.
No.
I just have certain political beliefs that the firm would not have found out about if it wasn't for Reform UK Exposed.
Yes, but the fact is as well, you know, even if you know, you should be able to have your beliefs, for goodness sake.
Absolutely.
I mean,
I don't have protected status like others do.
Yes.
And why is that? Why are other people's beliefs? Why do they have protected status, but I don't have protected status? And that cannot be right.
Yeah. So what happens? You have set up, have you not, a crowdfunder?
Yes, through Democracy 3.0, it's we've set up a crowdfunder in hope to raise enough money to take this case on, because I think it's not just about me. It genuinely isn't, Peter, just about me. It's about other people that will be in a very, very similar position, and we can't have people fearful for their roles that the organisations can just cut you off at the knees. You know,
With basically with this with reform, have they been supportive? Reform, you know.
Yeah, I mean, as far as reform goes, you know, again, you know, I'm still a member, and I still attend meetings. It was, you know, they've realised that they did make a bit of a mistake in pulling the plug like they did, but I think they panicked as well once the press got hold of it, and you know, I played my part with CMS. I didn't talk to the press. I wish I had, because I could have given a different side of the story.
Yeah.
But I didn't. Yeah. But now I've got two daughters, like I say, and I have to look them in the eye, and my wonderful wife, look them in the eye and say, I'm a man of principle. I have to do this. I can't just walk away.
No. You can't. You know, I can utterly see that, and neither should you. What other cases have you looked at yourself? You know, when you're looking at and say, right, who else has been through this experience?
There's a few individuals on X. You know, I've followed a couple of cases. Obviously, young Ben on Wine.
Yeah.
Ben held. That's right. He's been on, and I watched that quite closely. And you know, such a nice guy. Again, somebody that gave his life to his work. You know, it was something within him that made you feel a sense of worth. And that's exactly the same with me. I did my job because I felt a sense of worth, and I did a good job. And so I followed Ben's case very, very, very closely, and fingers crossed for him. I hope it goes well for him.
I was reading, you know, about the various problems now that middle-aged, no disrespect, middle-aged white men. To me, I think I'm older than you. The sort of problems they face at work.
Yes.
Apparently, more and more of them don't actually, you know, don't like having to go into work simply because the atmosphere is such. Does that ring any bells with you?
I mean, it's interesting. I mean, since the pandemic, you know, that all of us working from home, I think it did far more damage than it did good to all of us. You know, having people back in the office is actually a good thing, because you learn to interact on a personal level with people. It's not just on a screen. But yeah, when you're an older man, and like me, I wasn't a fee earner. I'm not a lawyer, so I was part of the support side of a huge organisation, and you often feel that you are marginalised. Everybody else gets the opportunities. You know, CMS over the period of time that I was there were very, very, very good to me. Yeah. You know, I had good relationships with people, and good relationships with those at a senior level as well. But it just shows that the minute something comes along that they're risk averse.
Yes. Yes. You mentioned there that you've been going for various jobs.
Yeah.
And things. But of course, this is a bit of an albatross at the moment.
It is a bit of an albatross, and also my age as well. You know, I've got the 6 in the front of my age now. So it's but it's difficult. And you know, firms are not supposed to discriminate with age, but you know, when you have to fill out a form that says what age bracket are you in, I can assure you there are people within other HR departments that take one look at somebody that's in the bracket of their 60s and
yes, exactly. Yeah. Yes. Their loss, of course.
I hope so, but you know, one day I shall.
Well, look, the very, very best with it, Dan. Best wishes. I know that everyone will be, you know, sending you, you know, their very best too. It's crucial. This particular, I think this one is utterly crucial because it's quite clear. You know, you have been fired because of certain things you just believed in.
Yes.
Perfectly mainstream as it happens for you. I find it extraordinary when people now talk about woke and all of this having kind of peaked, and they don't know the half of it, I'm afraid.
No.
It's embedded.
It
you know, as I think your case is showing. So now, where do people go if they want to contribute to your fund?
So it's Democracy 3.0.
Democracy 3.0.
Or you can look at my X handle, which is at Danable64.
At Danable64.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's if anybody can help, you know, I would be eternally grateful. And like I say,
we will put that actually in you know, the text under this. Can you stay with me and just answer a few more questions and everything? But in the meantime, Dan Cooper, thank you very, very much.
Thank you,
Dan Cooper there. We shall see you next week. In the meantime, do have a good week, won't you? Bye-bye. Our mission at the New Culture Forum is and always has been to defend and celebrate Britain's history, culture and its people, and indeed Western civilization, at a time when both are under sustained attack. We have grown from small beginnings to become the country's most influential right-leaning cultural think tank. Our content is watched and read by some of Britain's most influential political figures. But now, we need your help. If you believe in what we do, then please do become a member. For as little as £4 a month, you can make a vital contribution to what we do. As a member of the NCF family, you will help ensure that we can continue to produce quality content online, such as our 3 weekly programs, Whittle, which is our flagship interview show, Newspeak, our panel discussion show, and Deprogrammed, which is targeted at Britain's youth. As you probably know, in addition, we produce important documentaries, such as our critically acclaimed 6-part series, The West, a stunning celebration of the history and genius of Western civilization, and our ongoing documentary series, Heresies, with hard-hitting episodes tackling subjects such as immigration, gender ideology, and BBC bias. But the New Culture Forum is much more than a YouTube channel. We don't just complain about Britain as it is, we provide real solutions and clear policies on how we can push back against the madness and restore sanity to this nation. Our presenters are now highly sought after and have become familiar faces across the media. Our prestigious annual Smith Lecture and our regional and indeed national conferences have attracted world-class speakers. Perhaps most importantly, we are the only organisation on the right of politics that has launched a national movement without actually being a political party. And uniquely, through our NCF Locals programme, we've established some 30 active branches in towns and cities right across the nation, from Edinburgh to Exeter, and with many more on the way. We're very proud of what we've achieved, and our members have made it possible. In return, our members receive access to exclusive content, invitations to private events, free or discounted tickets to our conferences and lectures, free copies of our books, and much more. I very much hope that you'll join us too by clicking the link in the description or going to our website, newcultureforum.org.uk. Now is the time that we need your help. Thank you.